A little smoother if we get all this paperwork done first, I can tell you. It's great to see a good crowd out at council today. Oh, there's our press. Welcome, Pat. Yeah, it's great to see a good crowd out, and a couple of gentlemen in uniform. That's always nice to see, and especially when you're not talking through the windshield. Because it's firemen.
Good point.
Anyways,
that happened.
that never happened to me.
Okay.
No,
Not ever?
never.
You just heard of it.
Really?
But welcome, everybody. And we've got some delegations today, and a really exciting delegation, so I think we'll start off. First of all, the minutes of the previous meeting, I'll do that first. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson. The minutes of the January 20th, 2015 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Additional items disclosed as other business. Anybody got additional items? Ron, did you have something you wanted to talk about?
Yes, yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Resolution moving. Yeah, here. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson, that the Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Carried. There's no public meeting. Delegations. So our first delegation today is the carbon monoxide detectors group, and it's John, I hope I get this right, Janak? Hey, go, okay. And John, I'll maybe have you come up and bring your group up, and there's Mary Ellen Shepherd with you, and is that who else is with me? And Bob and Doug from the IBC. Oh, and Bob and Doug from the IBC. And but I think Chris is going to come up here and talk a bit about this. I just had a lot of fun with John and his granddaughter at the Touch a Truck, and we really appreciate your contribution to the Touch a Truck, and it's been a real success, and it's really helped our fire department. And the carbon monoxide effort is amazing, and I think, well, I'll let you guys talk about it because there's going to be some talk. Come on up. Chris? John?
That's Matt and Doug.
Matt and Doug. All right. Okay, we're going to have to sit you, as they say, one of these days we'll upgrade our high-tech stuff, but right now we're in a low-tech budget for our, but we're on television, so if you can speak into those mics, everybody will hear you back home. Super. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just be quick and pass it over to John, because that's the reason why we're here today. We were very fortunate to have them attend our event at the Touch Truck Festival last year. Khalees, as everyone knows, had emailed them and was corresponding with them, and we were lucky enough that John thought our event was worthwhile and came up and visited. And I think, and you'll be able to say so, that he was pretty impressed with our event, and that we were hosting and putting all our proceeds through that event to our carbon monoxide program. And because of that program and because of the work that our public education division did, our program's getting a huge boost today. So without further ado, I'll pass it to John, and then Doug's going to speak on behalf of the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and they will tell you why they're here today. So.
Great.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is John Janak. I am from the Hawk and Janak Foundation. In 2009, there was a tragedy in my family, and after that tragedy, we formed the Hawk and Janak Foundation, and one of the mandates was to purchase CO alarms for any area in our country that would need our help. So far, we've given out well over 3,000 CO alarms, and here we are today. And I have to tell you the story. The reason I'm on board is because Khalees corresponded with us, and I'll tell you, her correspondence, you should be proud of her. She made it sound very important, and it is important for this area to have help such as ours. And she invited me up to the Touches truck. I don't think she invited me. I think I surprised her.
That's right.
But we picked one event or two events that we like to try and get to every year, and I brought my granddaughter up and my wife, and we were pretty impressed with the amount of work that your small community put into that event. We thought that was pretty very well done. So Khalees, she's sure a diamond in the rough for you people.
Yep.
We also work very hard to get the buy CO alarms to supply them to anybody that needs them, and we found the best way to do that, because I'm a retired firefighter after 34 years. Of course, I'm a little biased, so I think the fire department is by far the best candidates to decide who to get these alarms in their communities. So we started 5 years ago to purchase these CO alarms and start to give them out to the different fire departments in Ontario. And of course, now your fire department's the recipient, one of the recipients this year. The reason we can do that is because of companies like the Insurance Bureau of Canada that have helped us with this donation, and KIDA Canada. I can't say enough about those two companies. They have helped us immensely, and without their help, we wouldn't be able to do this many donations, and it really helps our foundation. So again, I'd like to say how much we are appreciative of the reception we've received from your fire department and Khalees.
She's back there.
And we're just overjoyed that we can help you, and that in the future we hope that if they need our help, they'll call us. I'd be glad to come up and speak at one of their mutual aid meetings or whatever. So again, once again, thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The Insurance Bureau of Canada is a member of the Fire Marshal's Public Fire Safety Council, and has long been supportive of measures to increase awareness around fire safety, as well as now carbon monoxide dangers. So we supported making smoke alarms mandatory. We supported the legislation that came forward to make CO detectors mandatory in Ontario. So as part of that initiative, we have been going around the province donating detectors to fire departments across the province. We've been to 40 communities in just over a year. We actually started with Randy Pettipiece in October of 2013 in Perth, Wellington, and have actually been back a number of occasions to donate detectors thanks to him and his commitment to safety. We've been able to donate about 3,400 detectors thanks to the efforts of Randy and Ernie Hardiman, who brought forward the legislation, and thanks to John Janak. We've done not only presentations to fire departments, we've also made presentations to Habitat for Humanity to make sure that new homes for low-income families are able to be safe. So we're really proud to be here with John. We've also been able to work with the fire chief. We worked on the provincial launch of Fire Prevention Week last fall. So I think it's important for the council to know that they have a fire chief who is strongly dedicated to increasing public education and awareness around fire safety and CO. So we're hopeful that today we'll be able to get the message out again here in the town, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And I remissed if I didn't invite up here, as Doug said, another key person in the legislation and in support of it is our MPP, Randy Pettipiece. So, Randy, do you want to speak now, or do you want to speak in your turn? Or?
You're here twice today, Randy. That's good. Efficient. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. It's been a quite a journey with the CO2 detectors, and I certainly want to thank all the efforts of anybody who's involved in this. We have distributed them in a few communities throughout the riding, and I've told the story about a number of years ago. I always had a company come in and check my furnace to make sure that it was burning right, to make sure the efficiency was up. And one day he came upstairs and we were there, and he says, "Your furnace is done. You got a big hole in the firebox." I suppose if I hadn't been having this done, the checking, I had probably started it up when it got cold in the fall, and whether it would have blew up or I'd have been laying in bed some night and not have been able to get out of bed because I would have been poisoned with CO2. We don't know what would have happened. But I think, so when this initiative was brought out, it certainly made a lot of sense to me that especially with the tragedy that happened with the family in Woodstock, it was made a lot of sense. It wasn't a hard decision on my part to get involved with this thing. So, and again, I want to thank all of you for your efforts, Doug and the IBC, and getting this out. It's a very important message. CO gas does not give you any warning.
No.
You can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it. It's just a silent killer. So anyways, I was certainly happy to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Good.
So, Mr. Mayor, she's going to be extremely upset with me right now, but if Khaleesi can come up and she's going to tell you we're launching
Yes.
shortly how we're going to give out these CO alarms. So we're going to do. Come on up, please.
Now, you have to understand, and we're so proud of both these people, because I was able to be at the Fire Chiefs Convention last year. Was last year that you did your talk?
Yes.
It was last year you did your talk, and Khaleesi did a whole talk about social media and how we do it here in a little town of Minto, and she was told she had to make this little presentation, and when I got there, I was quite surprised it was in the main hall, and there was like 400. And both her and Chris did an excellent job for close to 45 minutes with questions, and we're so proud of them. We're so proud of our fire department and police's efforts and work. She's the, we call her the unusual,
We call her the boss.
The boss. and I have to give you a little story, John, and being an ex-fire person, you'd understand this. When Chris was asking for a little bit of administrative support, Khaleesi had worked part-time in the Chinook University, and Bill and I talked about it and said, well, maybe we'll just throw Khaleesi over there, and I think it was a blessing because she's organized these guys up really well, and we're so proud of them and what they've done. So I just like to brag when I get a chance. So there you go.
So Khaleesi, can I quickly explain the 60 alarms in 60 days campaign that we're launching shortly?
Right.
Okay. All right. So when we heard that we were going to get a donation of carbon monoxide alarms, our pub ed division met and we said, how can we give out these alarms fairly? And we came up with this campaign called 60 Alarms in 60 Days. So it's going to start February 15th, which is exactly 60 days from the installation date, which is April 15th. So we asked our business community to jump on board, and we've had 56 businesses jump on our campaign. And what's going to happen is every consumer that makes a purchase in their business is going to get a pamphlet and a draw ticket to put into the carbon monoxide alarm draw. And we're going to give out an alarm a day to whoever wins. So we've had 56 businesses, which means there's going to be quite a few entries into our draw. I just last week asked my mom how many draw tickets she would like, and she works at the chiropractic office in Palmerston. She's like, well, I see about 40 people a day, so I'm probably going to need 15,000. tickets. So I was just like, oh, well, I'll start with like 500. So that's how we're going to distribute them, is we're going to give out 60 alarms in 60 days and hopefully do sort of a countdown to make sure that people know that the installation deadline is coming. So that's
perfect. Well, that's a great way to do it, and get everybody out there, get the education thing going.
So as Khaleesi said, it's our public education division that's worked together, and they've been up on the pavement and looking and asking businesses and explaining to them, and the community and as council members board jumps on board with it. So we're really looking forward to it, and as Khaleesi said, not only will they get a ballot, they're going to get a pamphlet for information. It's just not your getting a ballot, it's information on CO, how to prevent it, and what's up for it, and how to make sure you have your lunch. So it's going to be a great campaign.
And we're looking forward to see how many of those tickets are going to be out there. It'd be nice to be able to tell John and I'm sorry, Doug, what kind of coverage that is, because again, it goes back to what we've worked on with the social media and how you've been able to get your message out for fire protection. It just totally amazes me how you can do that, and for like very little dollars. So it's great.
It's been great. So, Mr. Mayor, Council, if you'd like to come forward and have these two gentlemen.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. We're missing a couple councillors, as you noticed, when they're down in Sunny South.
36.
Take my slippers off.
I know you coming down, everybody.
Something feet look better than slippers.
We look casual.
Thank you.
They'll never know us. Headshot.
Perfect. That's good. That's where I'll be. Yeah.
Good. I have been,
Chris should be.
All the way up here, take my.
that's perfect. That'll force you guys to squeeze together. Which means you might have to turn a little to John. I know you're yeah, that he really goes to his head after that. And like you like each other.
Gotta get into the code yet.
Good thing they're not outside section. Thank you very much. I expected you to come out and solve mine.
Count on it.
Yeah, that's right. We have an inventory.
Am I allowed to win on the draw?
You have to ask the boss.
Oh,
Now, there's a question. Could we win on the draw? Shouldn't we be able to? For purchasing things?
Way back with it too.
So may I just ask a question?
yeah.
It's on this paper here.
Please, I just, through you, Mayor Bridge, I was just going to ask that the 56 businesses, so the people are not buying COs at their businesses, they're just of any sort. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Just, I think it's just a way to get out, get as many of the pamphlets out as possible to give the education, which have a little hook as the device. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and a safe drive home.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
We should clap, but then it would look like we were clapping because they were leaving. That would
What's that? Just it was, timing was right. We should have done it every time.
just did a bit.
Pettipiece is next.
Yep. If we just throw a couple chairs back up there, and that's where that chair came from.
Don't know. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Don't know.
Randy, if I get you to come up, and you're up next, and welcome.
Thank you.
If you just want to talk into that one, yeah. Yeah.
Either one.
Either one.
Both.
That's good.
Part of my
Okay, go ahead. Start over.
it's great to be here.
That's all right.
I have done in previous years. I like to get around to all the councils and to just kind of give you an overview of what we're doing, and certainly get your input as to what you see me doing. First on the on my notes here is something that's been quite important to several municipalities is the disaster the ice storm business. Very disappointed that no money has come through. I certainly you are, and we don't know where it is yet. I know that in North Perth applied twice for it, so they're a year and a half the first time they applied for it.
So 3 times we've, I think we're at 3.
I think we have to apply again, don't we?
Anyways, go ahead, Randy.
So the paperwork has got horrendous on this issue. And there are some municipalities that I've heard across Ontario that that are thinking of just giving up on it because of time and staff. So into it, whether it's time to be worthwhile. So, and that's really too bad. We, myself and MP Hardman have pressure to the minister to get something going on. That hasn't happened. So anyway, we are going to keep working on that when we get back to the house, which is the day after family. So I'm going to certainly, excuse me, keep working on that file. I also understand that we are pursuing a joint application that we're on the North Main and help to speech-friendly community, which we certainly approach this issue. I want to do all I can do to support your priorities, particularly your priorities, and that will, what that entails is letting me know what you're doing, what's important to you that we're dealing with products, so we can write letters of support or letters of inquiry for you. If that's true, then it gives me an idea of what's going on in the writing. And also, the ministers or whoever you're ready to take part know that I know about it. And it's a little bit more difficult to bury things if I know about it and take part. So if you can keep me informed about these things, which you have done in the past, I certainly appreciate that. And we also, if you have any requests for meetings, I know,
We have a couple delegation requests in, but we haven't heard anything back yet, so we'll let you know if we get any.
certainly write letters
Yep.
to the ministers on that.
Yep.
I'm not guaranteeing
Yeah,
you.
I think you already did.
Oh, we did that
Yeah,
already?
you already covered that.
Well, that's great. I can't guarantee you that it's going to come, that you're going to get these things, but at least you know that you have your representative involved. As I said, we are resuming the legislature on February 17th, and certainly if you're ever down in Queen's Park, let me know. Depending on things, there could be a lunch involved, and down there. And I don't know if any of you have been down to that. I also am going to reintroduce my resolution on joint several liability.
Good.
I am not going to give up on this thing. Certainly, I guess they've left the Doug and Peter Abbey and the IBC. They certainly supported me on this. Because you know that there needs to be some changes in this legislation. Certainly, with smaller communities will get with this. Very big settlements, it's going to be difficult on the budgets to cover this type of thing.
Right.
So we want to get the changes done. We were very disappointed in even last year with the your information. My duties at Queen's Park, I'm a critic for government and consumer affairs. And I'm also the seniors, critic for seniors issues. And I also have the horse racing file back.
Oh.
Nice.
So without getting into too many of those things, horse racing business is really too bad because it has really affected Wellington County hard. It's really done. And so we need to get onto this thing, and there's a lot of this agreements being to give these people some idea what the future is going to be. So that's what I have in my duties at Queen's Park. It's quite a bit more than I used to have, and I also sit on the standing committee of government agencies. So anyway, so that's my presentation today. It's certainly good to be here. Thank you for giving me the time.
Great. Thanks, Randy. I'll open it to questions for anybody. Ron?
No questions, Randy, but I want to compliment you on what you've done as an MPP for our community and for your riding. I believe you're a quick learner. You had to learn an awful to come in as a rookie and then not be in the government for the next time. And any time we've asked you for your support, you've always been there. At least get back to us and correspond. And I certainly appreciate it, and I know our council does too. So thanks.
I was a rookie when I got into this thing. It was somewhat a surprise that I got there at all, I think, but I have been blessed with a very good staff. And I think we work with our staff. Know that we here today, we work as a team, and certainly they're not afraid to tell me when I'm going off the road.
Direction.
I want to make a couple comments, Randy. The past 4 years as mayor, you've supported us and always been there for us when we do delegations to the ministers. And I think overall, I think what I see, you have respect for some of the ministers, and we've had that kind of some joking around at different times, and we've done those. Obviously, you work hard down there, and you can see that they have respect for your opinions. I'm certainly supportive of the effort to go back to third-party liability. I was really shocked when we got that at AMO, and thinking that all three parties supported you right up to I think the second reading or whatever it was. I was getting close.
We supported the
resolution. It wasn't a bill, it was a resolution, but, and then for the election to happen and everybody, the government bailing out because, and we've had delegations. We've had the president of Cowan's Insurance and sat across the desk, I think twice, Bill, in 4 years, talking about this issue and how it really affects us on our insurance coverage. And not only just the coverage itself, that we know our premiums keep going up, but what you said is the fact that we're going to be in a situation sooner or later that we may have to look at not having facilities because we won't be able to, and I don't know why the government can't figure that one out. I think it's because they don't have any skin in the game technically. They don't seem to be the ones that are getting sued, the province. We're the ones that are getting sued at the municipal level, and I think we have to get that point across. So anything we can do to help there, and I know AMO and Roma and will be supportive of getting that back on the table. And I don't know why it just got pushed off, because I remember one time talking to one of the ministers, and I think they said, our people don't think it's a problem. And I went, what? And that was when we had Cowan's there, and they did a very good job about explaining that there was a big problem. So that was good. And if we're back on the horse thing, definitely Wellington County. You know, Wellington County through the past warden Chris White and through Wellington County did the video about the effect of the horse racing industry for us in Wellington County and equine industry in general. We have a large agricultural base in Wellington County, and equine is one of the big pieces. And I think people fail to realize just the spin-off effect on people that are growing grain, and you know, the farm implement businesses and everything else. They look at racehorses as just racehorses and don't realize there's a whole industry that backs them up. And it's unfortunate that we had a system in place that was the envy of everybody else. In fact, I believe Kentucky and New York State both copied our system, places that you thought that had been in the business forever, and yet for some reason we decided that we're going to take something that's working well and break it. So I hope we can get back on that one too, and anything we can do to help there from the county and from this level So appreciate you coming today, and, oh,
I just
Really?
wanted to also add, I thank you, Randy, on behalf of council and the town of Minto for your support in the medical clinic in Palmerston. I know that you were very diligent in making that approval happen, and thank you.
great. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Randy.
And we'll see you at Good Roads. Okay,
Get your skates sharpened.
yeah.
Get your skates sharpened.
That's where mine are lost too, and they'll never be found.
I found them in the basement the other day. I didn't know what they were.
Thanks for coming. And our last but not least delegation, we have Teresa McLeod and from Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and Kyle Davis from Washington County Source Water Risk Management Official. Kyle would come up, and you have a presentation, I believe. And very important, and nice to see you, Kyle. And I know your job is just starting to take off now. We had you on board a little early, but I think we're ready now, right?
Okay, we have lots to get ready for.
Yeah, great, super.
No lack of early implementation.
No.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Teresa McLeod. I work out of the London office. I'm the environment and climate change. I'm the liaison officer to the Coastal Protection Program. I've been with the ministry 15 years in other roles, so I've been inspector, drinking water, and safety officer as well. My region is most of southwestern Ontario, so I liaise with the government, municipalities, conservation authorities, RMOs, and others about source protection programs and communication and with the communities to help them get to this point. So what I'm going to present today is Source Protection 101 for councillors who may not have been exposed to this before. I will do it as quickly as I can. This is normally an hour presentation. If I'm whipping by something too fast, let me know, but in the spirit of getting things done, I'm going to try to move quite quickly. And then Kyle will be talking to you more about local implementation.
Good.
So we're setting the stage for that.
Yep.
So the purpose of the Clean Water Act, the Clean Water Act was brought in after the Safe Drinking Water Act. If you've been in council for some time, you'll be familiar with the big changes that happened in drinking water towards water in 2001. And the goal was for the government to put in place source to tap protection for Ontario residents. So we focused on the tap first, the drinking water systems, the training of your operators, that sort of thing. And in the last few years, we've moved into source protection. And that is governed by the Clean Water Act, and its whole purpose is to protect existing and future sources of drinking water. We have focused on municipal drinking water just because we have to scope it. We have about 690 municipal systems in the province, and that was enough to start the program with too big to apply it. So the principles of source protection, it is the prevention barrier in our source protection tap approach. The idea that if we prevent contaminants from entering the water ahead of time, we're not going to have a problem at the time. So it's one other layer of prevention to protect your citizens and your water users. The Clean Water Act was designed very specifically based on the O'Connor recommendations and the local implementation. That was our local design, local committees to set the rules, that sort of thing. So the ministry has played a governance role where we just sort of help the conservation authorities and their committees get through the steps, but it's up to these local communities to create policies for your areas. So what we did, we created 19 source protection regions and committees across the province. They're based on conservation authority boundaries, and you happen to be in a very unique place, as you all know, where you sit right on the boundary of 4 or 5 different areas.
Yep.
You are one of the only municipalities in Ontario that are in that position, and we are very much aware of that, and want to help you and help your team implement in the best way possible. And that's part of what my role is, to work with your staff and with the committee to make sure, and do our best to balance those different policies. And Kyle will talk a little more, but he's wrapped his head around that in the last.
Yeah, that's why we needed Kyle.
That is exactly why we needed Kyle. And I must say, while I'm here, that Stacey and Terry have been wonderful as well. I've had some communication with them in the past few months, and you're very well positioned in this. I think you have fantastic staff, and that's half the battle, I think, for implementation of this program. caught me a few times on the lawyers. I've made good. So the key players in the program are, the province. Our role is to oversee this all. Each of the committees in those 19 areas you just saw are made up of our legislative, 1/3 municipal representatives, 1/3 agricultural, commercial, and 1/3 sort of other. So these are all local members of your community who have either been put forward by the municipalities to be part of the committees or have been selected by their sector group. So these are the people that sat around the table for the last 5 years or so. The municipalities to date have had a somewhat limited role, except for that position at the table, if you have one, at the committee table. Although you were part of the terms of reference, creating the terms of reference, saying what systems are we including in this process. That was at the very beginning. You're also required by legislation to implement source protection plan policies that use current core powers. I'll explain a little bit more about what those are in a moment. So just as an overview of where we were and where we are, the first few years, the focus was on creating the science, creating really sound science that identified our drinking water system, what was around them, how fast contaminants can get into those systems, and by what routes, that sort of thing. A very comprehensive assessment report has been done for each of the drinking water systems. It's the best science we've ever had for drinking water, and I think the standard for the country. It's pretty fantastic information. Included in that assessment report were watershed characterization, groundwater vulnerability analysis, surface water vulnerability analysis, which was by the Minto, of course. Issues and threats evaluation, which is what's on the landscape that could be a problem to our drinking water system, as well as a water budget, which is water quantity risk assessment. So that's all been completed for your area. And then in the next few years, once we got the assessment reports approved, the committees were to create source protection plans. And then, which those are done now, and almost all of them for the province have been submitted for approval. Once you have approval of those plans, you move into implementation, which is where the rubber hits the ground. So just to give you an idea of what the vulnerable areas, I'm going to focus on wellhead protection areas. I'm going to go over this very quickly. If there are ever any questions, please don't feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to give a more complete version of this at any time. So you just have wells here. So you'll see that there are 4 zones around each well. The 100-meter zone around the well is what we call the wellhead protection zone A. It's a standard 100 meters across the province, every municipal well. The second one is a 2-year time of travel. These are the actual wellhead protection areas for your municipality as in the approved assessment report for a solid base. We have 1 approval in this area right now. So the second little circle is a 2-year time of travel, meaning contaminant could reach the wells in 2 years. The third zone is a 5-year time of travel, that's called Local C. And in some cases, you'll have to look at if your wells are subject to So what can be a threat to your drinking water? These were just prescribed by legislation as well. So our scientists at Standards Development Branch went through there's a book about this thick with all of this in great detail. What circumstances could this be a threat at, and at what level, and what amount, and it's very detailed science on this. In general, the threats include waste disposal, sewage, a number of agricultural activities, including application and storing of nutrients and pesticides. Some areas have added what we call a local threat, which is at the bottom. That would be, say you were in Saugeen and you were concerned about the nuclear plant. You could add that as a local threat, right, and you can have that evaluated to see if it could affect drinking water. I haven't added any to my knowledge. In Maitland, there are. In the approved one, there are no local threats. Some industrial threats as well, including handling and storage of fuel and handling and storage of DNAP, which we call them dense non-aqueous-based liquids, organic solvents, and gassing of aircraft.
No, our local airport doesn't operate in the winter, thank goodness.
And then 2 of the 21 prescribed threats are water quantity. So if your quantity assessment showed that you have quantity issues, then those would apply. That is not the case. So the plans were all created, I'm just going to go right to this, but each source protection committee has created a plan. They're given a set of tools through the Clean Water Act to use. They range from very friendly tools to more restrictive tools. The Part 4 powers, so the top 3, are the types of policies that are asked for the municipality to implement. They are more prohibitive powers. So there are a number of policies in the plan. They won't all be required of the municipality to implement, but any under those 3 sections are. So the softer tools are education and outreach, incentive programs, planning approaches. The province also has a load to bear here. Prescribed instruments are also one of the tools. And most committees have written policies that require us to include such measures into our decisions as well. And there are provisions in the Clean Water Act that ensure there is not any overlap between those two. So if Kyle, as a risk management official, goes out to a property and says, I'm concerned about these 3 activities because they're threats, if they have a prescribed instrument or an environmental compliance approval through our ministry or another, they can present that to him. And if it addresses that threat, then that's the tool we use. The Assault Bayfield Source Protection Plan was recently approved on January 22nd with an effective date of April 1st. Now, keeping in mind that it is the first approval for this for your municipality of the many reasons you unfortunately touch. I know it's a difficult, it's a challenging area to implement some of the regions touching it. This will be your first one, and the implementation, or the effective date rather, is April 1st, which just means implementation needs to start then.
Right.
It's not that everything needs to be done by the end of April. Each policy has its own timelines and reporting requirements, and that's what I think that will be for us. So this is a map of currently approved plans in the province. As you can see, the east led the charge, or the north actually led the charge. All the blue ones are approved plans in the province, and as we mentioned, Assault Bayfield was just approved here. It's right in the corner of that, on the edge of Saugeen, Grey Sauble, and what we call Lake Erie region. The Saugeen plan is just gone out for consultation right now. There's still opportunity to comment on that if you want to. It's up for public consultation right now, and we expect it to be submitted April 1st and have approval by the end of the calendar year. We expect to have all plans approved by the end of the calendar year. And we're on track to make that happen at this point. We know there have been concerns about the pace of approval. It's funny because some municipalities want it to come faster and some want it to come later, but we're well over machine at this point. I did include some appendices in your presentations if you wanted to learn more about what the province is doing to help prepare. So there's information in there I won't present today, but if you're looking for what kind of support we are offering, there's more information at the back of your slide deck, as well as a more detailed list of what the risk management official powers and responsibilities are. But one thing we have done is we released what we call SPIMIC, the Source Protection and Municipal Implementation Fund, and the minister announced sometime about $13.5 million to go out to rural municipalities to help with implementation of Source Protection plans. 188 municipalities have taken part in this funding. Kind of Minto got the maximum amount.
We appreciate that.
Well, and good on you for doing that, because other municipalities kind of, that incentive, there's an extra $15,000 for collaboration between municipalities. And it's, it's disappointing for us who feel very strongly about protecting rainwater that some municipalities didn't take that, because it creates an opportunity to spread that message around your region, not just your municipality. So well done, and I'm glad to see about it. And just I'll give a very brief overview, 3 slides here, about Part 4, powers and responsibilities. So under the Act, as was mentioned, the municipality has the responsibility for enforcement of Part 4. The Act allows for municipality to enter into an agreement with the Board of Health, Planning Board, or Source Protection Authority for the enforcement of Part 4. Many municipalities across the province have done this differently. There's no standard way to do it. I really like the approach that you guys have taken in partnering with the County of Wellington. It's cost effective and it creates that regional cohesion that in your education as region and other transit initiatives. So the Wellington County, as the effort here, is who Kyle works with. You're going to get into that.
Yeah.
One thing you should know that certificate of appointment for each risk management official and inspector is required for that person to act as risk management official and inspector, and they're required to participate in training offered by MOE. You have several staff here who have met and exceeded requirements of that course, so you're in good position there. We offer, I am stopping with you. We offer this course quarterly. There's no cost for the course, but you are required to have your own login.
Right.
Quarterly, if you ever want to. So powers of a risk management official. The Clean Water Act created new powers to address the gap where our provincial instruments or other existing tools do not manage that for us at all. So the idea is that risk management plans are to be used for prescribed instrument can and doesn't apply, but where there's a real threat to drinking water on that side. So the risk management plans are locally negotiated after the plan's approved. We have one approval so far. And as I mentioned before, it does include an opt-out notice if somebody already has an instrument that addresses that threat. So that's part of the discussion that your risk management officials and inspectors will have with landowners as they look into it. There's also something called an interim risk management plan. I do not think you're in a position to need this, but if you had something that was a burning issue that you couldn't, you were having difficulty enforcing, there is a tool under the Clean Water Act that allows for what's called an interim risk management plan, and that's entirely up to the municipality if they want to use that tool. I don't think anybody has yet, but they're doing it for many areas. The Clean Water Act also allows for prohibition. For future activities, this has been used fairly regularly in source management plans for things that don't exist yet. Say, hey, we don't want a gas station ever next to our well. But that's really the kind of time that's been used for future. But it does allow prohibition for existing activities as well, so there's a much stronger test on when that would be required and why. And then that's also a lot of questions if they're going to prohibit current activity, and I do not believe that happened in any point in the area. Certainly not Miss Oliver.
Yes, it did.
It did? Yeah. Oh, okay. The ones that they couldn't manage that. But then we'll go deep. Okay, so you do have a few. Are they mainly agricultural? It's A, so that would already be prohibited through the so
Yeah, nutrient. Yeah, it's already existing though.
yeah, they have mostly the Nutrient Management Act generally uses a 100-meter buffer around the well and doesn't allow any spraying or storage or anything like that in that area. So that is all I'm gonna stop there for today. But again, if you have any questions or want something more detailed at any point, feel free to contact me.
Great.
Do what I can to help.
Okay. Thanks, Teresa. And do you want to do questions at the end? If anybody's got questions, or okay, we'll do it at the end. Okay, go ahead, Kyle.
Thank you very much, Rich and members of the council.
Okay, that's better.
Now
Okay, so thank you very much for having me.
There you go.
Much better, isn't it? Okay, my name is Kyle Davis. I am the shared risk management official between the 7 municipalities in the County of Wellington. So I'll talk a little bit more about kind of the administration of my position in some of the slides. I'm pleased to be here today, and as a follow-up to Teresa's presentation, I'll give you some more details about specifically what's going on in town of Minto, as well as in the County of Wellington. So this slide is really to provide you that overview of sort of what Teresa was mentioning. In the town of Minto, there are 2 source protection plans that are going to come into effect eventually. The Maitland is approved already, and Saugeen is coming out to public consultation. Throughout the County of Wellington, there are actually 5 plans that will come into effect at one point. Well, I guess as we heard, in the next year or so. So the status of the plans that apply to the town of Minto. The Maitland plan completed public consultation last February and was submitted to approval, to the minister for approval, and was approved by the minister on January 22nd. It comes into effect on April 1st. There are 2 public meetings between now, the approval date, and the effective date for Maitland that I wanted to make council aware of. One is scheduled in Clinton on February 26th, and another in Wingham on March 25th. And we're working with the Sauble Bayfield Maitland staff in terms of staff attendance at those meetings. The Saugeen plan actually opened for public consultation today. So it goes from February 3rd. Attached, I think, to your agenda packages or separately, there is the consultation schedule for your information. There are going to be a number of public meetings. There are going to be a number of public meetings between now and March 6th, when the public consultation period ends. And I wanted to draw council's attention to 2 specific meetings, one in Chesley on February 19th, and one in Owen Sound on February 24th, which are specifically for municipal staff and councils. And I would certainly encourage all or any of you to attend if you so wish. Stacy and myself had attended some previous ones, and we found them to be very, very informative, and staff are planning to go to those again. So the highlights of the Maitland Source Protection Plan, since that is the one that's going to be first out of the gate for us. The initial focus is on education and outreach. Their Source Protection Committee felt that, as I do too, that education outreach is a very important part of this. So there is a mandatory education outreach program that we as a municipality are required to implement. And we've been working closely, Terry, Stacy, myself have been working closely with the Maitland staff, Donna Clarkson's here today, and the Sauble staff on what that education program is going to look like. We're required to implement that within the first year, so by April 1st, 2016. To all properties that have been identified as significant threats. And I'm going to talk a little bit about significant threats. There's also some broader education policies for some other properties that we're also required to implement. Following the education program, there are risk management plans that are required to be negotiated with the persons engaged in the existing activity within 3 years. And these are for the properties that are identified as significant threats. And for the Maitland-only portion of Minto, the Sauble Bayfield Maitland Conservation Authority staff have given us some very good data and have done a lot of work. I know Donna was out at a lot of the sites herself to really bring the initial threat numbers, if you recall, were quite high. And they've done some really good work to bring it down. And we're looking at about 15 to 20 properties that are identified for negotiation for risk management plans. And as Stacy and I were talking about this morning, actually, those will likely come down a little bit further once we get talking to people a little bit more. So those existing activities, and these are for existing activities. So if you recall Teresa's slides with the different threats, what these are primarily fuel storage or dense non-aqueous phase liquid, which is DNAPL, which is a type of metal degreaser or dry cleaning fluid. It's a chemical, it's an organic solvent that's used in a variety of different applications. And those are the 2 primary types of risk management plans that we expect to be negotiating in the Maitland portion of Minto. And there is one property in Palmerston identified for spreading of nutrients and manure within the A. So that is already prohibited, and just the policy sort of reinforces that. So beginning April 1st, development applications will be required, so April 1st this year, screened for compliance with the Maitland Source Protection Plan. So that is, Terry, Stacy, and myself are working with the county staff to ensure we've got those processes in place for that date. And the purpose of the screening is to identify any future activities that may be subject to risk management plans or prohibitions. So a little bit, promised a little bit of just kind of on the administration of my position, and The RMO, the Wellington County, there's a unique approach, as Teresa mentioned, and my position is a shared position within serving all 7 local Wellington County municipalities and the county. My position is funded, my office and position is funded by Wellington County through the planning budget. I'm shared and I report to all 7 local councils and then the planning committee. So administratively, I had to sit somewhere. I have to have a desk someplace.
Yep.
I sit in the township of Center Wellington, and I report to the director of public works there. However, Stacy can attest to, I'm not actually in my office a lot.
Yeah, I don't imagine you are, Kyle.
So I chair an internal working group when we first got started, and Terry and Stacy are the Minto reps on it, of staff from all 8 municipalities. It's primarily either water, building, or planning staff, depends on the municipality whom they send. We meet monthly, and the purpose is to kind of organize and guide the source protection implementation, and to make sure we're doing it collaboratively and that we're all on the same page, and to make sure it's consistent. So I started in October 2013. We kicked off the working group in February 2014. So proud to give you an update on.
Has that gone off on you there? Just grab the other one, maybe. They're batteries, so. No, not on yet, I don't think. Hang on.
Okay, that should be better.
I know we have to keep this up because we get complaints when people don't hear you. So we know
okay.
people watch.
Well, a lot
That's
of what
very
we
important.
do is education, so
Yeah,
I'm happy
exactly.
that we're going to be on YouTube, and
I know.
I hope people do have questions.
Yeah, good.
So, yes, I'm happy and proud to talk about what we've done in 2014. You know, one of the very first things that we did was this organization and setup of the source protection program and the working group for all 8 municipalities. And I'm happy to say we've had great support from all the staff, and Terry and Stacy are there every meeting. I can count on them, and it's great, much appreciated. And really we're building that partnership between our municipalities and kind of finding that the efficiencies too. Along with that, of course, is outreach. So we've been doing, you know, all of these kind of presentations. I was here last spring. We provide review and comment on the source protection plan policies. So again, that's as a working group. We've been providing comments on the plans as they've been going in or going into public consultation. So we'll be doing that again for Saugeen, and the Grand River is coming up shortly after. Halton Hamilton just closed for Puss Lynch. We've been participating in the various working groups associated with the plans, both provincially. I'm a member of the provincial ministry's municipal working group on source protection implementation. We've been able to leverage some GIS staff at Center Wellington to do some desktop work for us and work with the county GIS staff. So we've done quite a lot of work to verify potential threat activity locations, as well as starting to do some initial drive-bys to verify. You can only see so much on air photos. The county has rolled out the source protection mapping. It's available internally currently on the Explore Wellington site. That will eventually go public-facing. However, that's available internally and has been since about June. And Mark Pally at the county has been spearheading the development of the planning and building process, which we're going to be implementing April.
We lost another one.
I'll just talk louder.
Now, boy, we better check these batteries next time.
Maybe this is, I'm just supposed to.
I don't know, Kyle. Maybe you got something with microphones there. You don't do karaoke, do you?
Only with my daughter, yeah.
Okay, good answer.
Maybe this is just the subtle way of telling me I need to.
Yeah, that's right. No.
I do.
Yeah, Bill's got a little button here. He just turns it on.
Perfect. The eject seat. That's great. Okay, so the last but not least is development of a 5-year communications plan, which we've used the SPIMF money for, and we're also developing Wellington County specific fact sheets. So we're just in the process of finalizing that up and be able to launch that shortly. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's on.
Is that better? Okay, I'll just talk closer into it. So, planned for 2015. Beginning delivery of the education outreach program. That will start first and foremost here with an approved plan, and that will start with the properties that have been identified by the Conservation Authority as being potentially significant threats. So we will be starting kind of the one-on-one kitchen table discussion. You know, so myself, Terry, Stacy, talking to the staff, the staff or owners one-on-one to explain to them what's been going on and what this means. Yep. There is also the door-to-door threat activity verification. Now this is primarily in Saugeen. That's where we've already done this work. This work's been done for us already in Maitland, so we are going to need to do this in Saugeen. So it's Clifford and Minto Pines. Minto Pines is fairly straightforward from a source water point of view, but internally, we're working on finalization of the risk management plan guidance and templates, and we're working collaboratively, actually, again, as a Wellington group with Oxford and Halton and Guelph and the Upper Thames Conservation Authority and the GRCA on development of a database system that at least for the development of that software, so we don't have to kind of all do it ourselves. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I've spoken to this already, finalization of the development application screening process. We're going to be implementing that effective April 1st. The county is kicking off official plan updates to bring them into compliance. So a lot of this is all using the SPMF money. And then beginning here in Minto, the negotiation of risk management plans for the properties identified with existing activities, starting with education and kind of building up from there. Development of training and delivery of that training for other municipal staff. Some of that's going to happen very quickly before April 1st. And then continue to review and comment on the Saugeen Source Protection Plan, especially as that's we're in the public consultation. There's other work that's related to other parts of the county that's also going on, but I sort of picked the ones that were very specific to Minto. So I've got 3 slides here. I'm going to try to go through them. I'll go through them, but if there's any questions, please let me know. They're here for your reference as much as anything. But it's really talking about the difference between the official and the inspector. And so the risk management official, as we've talked about, one of my key jobs is to kind of lead implementation, including chairing the internal working group, development of internal processes, etc. Excuse me. So to do that, I work with local, municipal, and county staff, and we're integrating source protection into the building and planning processes. Effective April 1st for Maitland, which is the first of our county municipalities, we'll be reviewing development applications for compliance. Verify, and then we're also going to be looking to verify the threat activities, and this is work that's already been done or is underway. So that we're verifying the threat activities identified by the source protection authorities and then delivering education. And then working with the locally appointed risk management inspectors to negotiate and establish RMPs, risk management plans, for properties with verified threats, conduct inspections, come up with inspection protocol, and monitor compliance with the risk management plan. Along with that, we're developing the systems to manage the data under Clean Water Act. We have legislative requirements, including records retention times, 15 years. Preparation of annual reports. We're going to have requirements for annual reports to the 5 source protection authorities across the county, the 2 here in Minto, but 5 across the county. And again, that is legislated. Continuing collaboration with local inspectors, municipalities, source protection authorities, province, on education outreach initiatives, updates technical work, working group, and other projects. We've got a little bit of we call it the RMO therapy group going on between us and Guelph and Halton, which has been helping us a lot to sort of bring up, to bring things together. And then, if needed, and we certainly hope we don't get to this point, but there is provisions under the Act on issuance of orders, environmental review tribunal, expert witness, things of that nature. The risk management inspector. Those responsibilities include to work with the RMO to negotiate and establish those risk management plans for the properties with verified threats, conducting inspections, monitoring compliance, participating in the internal working group, development of the internal processes, and the education program, and this is the working group that we've been working on for a number of months now. Delivery of that education program. The inspectors will be our feet on the ground, right? You know. So there will be that delivery of education that's very important both here and across the county. And then working with myself, planning and building staff, in some cases the inspectors are our building staff, to assist in the review of development applications for compliance with the plans. And then the last piece, of course, is if needed, the orders and review tribunal. So I wanted to end there's the actual wellhead protection areas in your packages for your information. But I wanted to end just on one last slide about appointments, because the appointment bylaws are coming later in the meeting for your consideration.
Yep.
And so the risk management official or the risk management inspector has no authority under the Clean Water Act until appointed by the council of the municipality that they represent, and then the certificate of appointment being issued, as Teresa talked about. So section 47 sub 6 is where that power comes for the council, which is that the council of municipality that is responsible for the enforcement of this part, which is part 4, shall appoint a risk management official and such risk management inspectors as are necessary for that purpose. So we do have certain policies within the Maitland Source Protection Plan that takes effect on April 1st that do require risk management official review, and the appointment bylaws have been included in your package for your consideration. And I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Great, thanks, Kyle. Questions? Councilor Elliott.
Once you get all your risk management areas, you've mapped them out and you've got them in order, you can continually update those yearly as someone, so it'd be up to our inspectors to, or would that be your job, or?
That would continue to be a that would continue to be a collaboration between myself and the inspectors. Like I envision that we have been working very closely together and we'll continue to work very closely. So we're using from the mapping side of things, we're using the Center of Wellington's resources, staff time to sort of do it for all municipalities. And then, yeah, some of that would come through on the development review, and some of it would come through on kind of drive-bys and seeing where, tenant changes. So tenant changes obviously wouldn't come through on a development review necessarily. But, so that would be a combination of myself and the inspectors.
I have 3 altogether. I wonder what kind of teeth you have if somebody says, I'm not going to comply? Meaning
and Kyle didn't speak a lot about it, but it is in the deck, and then it's also in the back end of my deck. The powers that the risk management official and inspectors have are very similar to provincial officer powers. They have powers of entry. They can write orders. They can order things to be done, and order cost recovery for that as well. So they're very broad powers. There is a detailed list in the back of your decks. We can bring it up if you want, but very big teeth.
And the third part of that would be then, if it comes down to it and the person you're dealing with financially can't, is there financial support for someone like that?
That is something you should write your minister about. Okay. There currently is no fund. We have in the past, however, had the Ontario Drinking Water Stewardship Fund. We put over, what was it, 12 million into that fund to do early actions and your conservation authorities have administered that to date. I would say continue the push, and we may see more funding. But you are particularly good at that, and I really like the letters that you do send in. They're all kind of on point, and right. they make good points and make us think pretty hard about things.
So if they don't have the dollars and they walked away, then I guess it becomes the property.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like how we would deal with a similar situation at the province. Sometimes we are faced with that cleanup. Now, hopefully you can negotiate those locally and not get to that point.
Right.
And again, be reminded that if it's something that breaks a provincial offense, we're still going to respond to that. And we may still order that cleanup, or if it's a big event that brings the province in, our officers are still going to respond to that. So there may be a joint enforcement opportunity there if something like that were to come up.
Yep.
I did want to add one more thing. The province has also created an online mapping tool that links to the threats database as well as the policy database. It's currently only available internally. We're working very hard to get it made external, and as verification happens and the committees update us, that will be updated real time through assessment reports. Things like threat verification can be approved very quickly, right. And those numbers can be changed very quickly. So Excellent. It doesn't require a whole amendment to your plan.
Yep. Councillor Caldwell.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, the landowners that are affected by this risk management, are they aware of that situation now? And if so, how are they being made aware?
Certainly. Yes, so the Conservation Authority has undertaken, so up until this point, it's been the Conservation Authority that's been doing most of the primary contact with the landowners. So they did do contacts with the landowners in person, I believe a number of times, a number of site visits. The last ones being in fall 2013. If I recall correctly. Donna Clarkson here from Maitland was one of the staff that was doing that. We're, with the focus on education in the Maitland plan, the next step for us, we have those list of property owners, including kind of when they were last contacted and what they were told, is going to be sort of the education visit to introduce ourselves as municipal staff and sort of how that is being transitioned from the Conservation Authority to us. And then also to see what activities, because the activities could have changed between 2013 and now also, to see what's changed and to start that discussion with them.
Thank you. Anybody else? I mean, I believe we're not in too bad a shape. And, you know, hopefully we can negotiate any concerns we have with the landowners and not be into the using the big stick type thing. But I guess one of the things I thought about, and I don't know, I'm just trying to think if any of our wells are within road allowances somewhat where you could get a spillage. That's what, like if you had a tractor trailer or whatever, that type of thing. Unbeknownst to us, we just did it as an accident, and that goes in towards our well. Would that be a provincial?
That would be something we would respond to more than likely. Yeah, if there. You can add, I mean, the source protection authorities and committees had the ability to add a local threat if they're particularly concerned about transportation in their region. For example, the region near Sarnia, Chemical Valley, they added a transportation threat because it's a very real possibility for them. But here, yes, that would probably, you're gonna have a Spills Action Center call out from that, and we're going to respond as we normally would to any environmental.
So it happened to be close to a wellhead, then our people would be involved.
But you are probably going to get notified at some point about that. Our Spills Action Center is already using that online interactive mapping we're talking about. So every call they get now, they've got a provincial map of all the wellhead protection areas and intake protection zones, and they're running through that list of criteria. Is this, you know, do I need to, who do I need to notify? So that's already happening at Spills Action Center. Well,
that's good to know, because otherwise we'd have to, you know, whether it's our fire department or whoever would have to say, no, is that close enough to a wellhead situation to be calling in anybody special? So,
go ahead.
And also, Mayor Bridge, is there are policies about spill response in the plan, so we will be updating and working with Linda Dixon's group on kind of updating those policies.
Yeah. Great. Well, I like, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank both of you for coming today, and I think it's a prime example of in a county situation, how we've been able to work with the county on the municipal level and build partnerships. And I know both Terry and Stacy have appreciated, Kyle, your support going through this process. And I think we're pretty happy with their progress. And we think it is ideally to be in a sort of situation with going forward with building. So it seems to work out.
Yes, and I've appreciated their support too, because it's been good to build the program, and I'm looking forward to implementing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Public questions. Has anybody got a public question? Yes. Just your. Let us know what it is and your name. Yes?
Mike.
Well, I tell you, the public questions, if you've got a situation sometimes when you would come with a delegation ahead of time, then we may not be able to answer your questions, but I think any questions we're looking for them. You might not be able to get too much, maybe some discussion today, but we might have to send it back to staff if it's something we have to look into further. Okay? Well, we'll listen to the question and then we'll go. Okay.
Should you use the mic, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, if you want to come up and do the mic, yeah, that's good. Good, thank you, Ron. I've been working hard at remembering to tell people that.
You've been doing that every time.
I know. Yeah.
I just need some clarification on the budget issues. The January 13th meeting where the 2015 operating budget binder was reviewed. Now, is that the accepted current budget, or is that still a proposed budget?
well, I'll answer this. I think it's proposed budget, and we'll have an actual budget meeting for public intake as well.
Okay.
With that, using that as our template.
Yep.
But right now that was operations.
Okay.
And now we're working on capital. And I'd love you to come back. I mean, I keep telling everybody, come back to the budget meeting. We haven't had a lot of success in bringing people back because at that time, we not only have the budget there, we also have all the staff that were involved in producing their part of the budget. So they've got a wealth of knowledge and would love to go through that on a point by point, whatever that day. And it's kind of like you come in, the budget's there, you can ask questions to any of the staff and through. So am I right on that, Bill? I got that right? Yeah.
So secondarily to that then, what is that procedure from basically now until, is that date set for that meeting?
I believe we have a set date for that.
Is it the March one?
No, the March is the capital.
If I may, March 10th, we have our capital budget meeting. That meeting is open to the public.
As well.
We also videotape them, and I think they are shown on the local cable company. They're also on YouTube. And then the date for the public meeting had been fluctuating, so I don't think we'd set that, but it'd probably be end of March or early April.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that is when basically the budget would be accepted and put into effect.
The members of the public would be invited through you, Mayor Bridge, to come and speak to the issues with everyone. If there's any changes between when that happens and the budget bylaw comes forward, then those would be made, and then there would be a bylaw adopting the budget.
Yeah. Okay. So there'd be discussion at that meeting, and if we get good input or input that might change some of the things, we would look at that point. And then the next council meeting after that, pretty well, we try to bring it to the council.
Is there anything that can be made, given to the public to review up to that date, so we're well informed in terms of questions to pose and things to ask?
Bill?
The budget binder is available
Mm-hmm.
for review in the municipal office. And usually we do a summary report after we come out of the debate, the discussions. That's also available. It kind of summarizes everything if you don't want to look through the whole budget binder, but.
No, that's fine.
So those two things, and actually, we usually get those posted on the website here very shortly.
Okay. But in
Not the binder,
meantime-
but the summary report.
So if someone wants to go through the entire binder, they just make an appointment here to
Yep.
come in and study?
Yep. And come in,
Up
okay.
front, I think there's maybe one over by the media, if they, they're right now even, maybe gone, but there's certainly one up front.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Great. I had one more budget-related
Sure.
question, but you know what? I'm going to save it for the budget meeting.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And actually, it was a great commercial for our budget meetings, and I appreciate that. So there you go.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Where are we, Bill? No more questions? Okay.
The agenda correspondence.
Agenda correspondence. Any questions on the agenda? Correspondence. If I have a motion?
Mayor Bridge, those correspondence, the agenda were sent out on Friday afternoon, I believe. That was the invitation to the annual general meeting of the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, Canadian Union of Postal Workers, request for support, MPP Hardman's letter on the ice storm assistance program, and the various letters Mr. Pettipe sent to the ministers we'd requested delegation. So all we need at this point is a motion to receive those unless someone wanted to bring anything forward.
Bringing forward a motion to receive.
Well, I wondered about the Canada Post. I know that it's mostly talking about urban door-to-door delivery, which we do
Yeah.
not have. However, we have lots of residents who get mailbox, end-of-lane delivery, and I fear that that will be changed significantly at some point as well, and I wondered if I think we need to look into a little bit more before we would maybe know whether or not we have anything else we want to do with it.
I think, Judy, or Councilor Dirksen, I would think that probably we're going to see some action at Roma and Good Roads on this. I'm hoping there'll be a couple facilities to talk and get some good information. I know they were involved last year at AMO, I believe, and we're quite concerned about certain things. And I think our whole postal system, we have to be a little leery, and I know being in rural myself, having the rural boxes, we have the super boxes now, but I know I would have a hard time, in my mind, giving up that, that service. the door-to-door, we haven't been affected because we never had it, but in urban, but certainly, and I think the big concern the QB had, and I seem to recall from email, I think it was how do our disabled and seniors get their mail if they, you know, they can't get out or whatever. So, you know, I think there's issues, but if we're in a rural, I'm worried about that already. As you know, rural's been attacked many times on the basis of safety. If you got a road that's too busy or whatever, they all of a sudden pull your box. So there's a lot of rules. I'm concerned about it, but maybe after that conference, I'm hoping we're going to get some good information. That help?
So,
And then maybe we'll see what we might want to do as a council.
sure, that makes sense.
Okay.
Mayor Bridge, then you'd like us to bring it forward again after the,
I would like to not let it die. I'd like
That
to
makes
find
sense.
out maybe what we can do and what our concerns will be. And maybe everybody can think about them as they're down there and ask the questions. So I'm hoping there'll be a couple booths on all sides of the issue. I know the Post will be there, and I know probably QB will be there, and other people.
Great, that works.
Okay. Anything else? Can I have a motion to accept? Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and is that, then we have other correspondence. Are you putting that all in at the same time? We got the...
well, Mayor Bridge, if we could deal with the ones that were in the package. The first one is the Palmerston and District Hospital Foundation. If we could have a motion to proceed with the way we always have, which is support the facility rental, then that would be in order. And then
Motion by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson, all in favor? I totally agree with that.
second one is on the Huron County pre-consultation on their official plan, amendment number 4. If you're interested in what's going on there, then we would need a motion for our staff report to come back. The comment date is February 20th, so we'd have to have a report back to you at the next meeting. If these are sufficiently broad issues that we don't really want to get involved with, then we just need a motion to receive. Last time when we had one of these, the previous council, we got into the South Bruce matter on the issue of swampland areas and so forth, but we do have our county planner was here, he's left, but my suggestion is a motion to receive, but if you would like us to investigate it further and maybe have the planner's report back to you, then we would need that motion.
I would make the motion to receive that document.
Second. Councillor Caldwell, all in favor of that? I agree. Okay. And now we're reports of committees and town staff, table motions. Committee minutes, we have two James Way.
Mayor Bridge, these are just minutes to receive.
Yep. And are we, Councillor Anderson's now our rep, right? So have they got a hold of you, or do you know what your next meeting is?
I do.
Okay. I think Terry went to this one because I believe we didn't do that till the 16th.
Right, and yeah,
What?
I wasn't aware of this one in time to attend to it.
Well, I don't think we really had everything done. I looked at that and I thought,
No,
I
but
think
I've
we
got the
actually-
next one, I've got the
Perfect.
agenda already. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Just,
Yes.
I noticed that they're paying somebody $20 instead of $15. Is that total, or is that like an hour, or is that, just didn't know. It doesn't matter to me, but wonder whether that,
The regular,
I was assuming
painting-
that, I was
That's an
assuming
hour.
that was an
That's-
hourly rate.
that's what I assumed,
That's
but
hourly, that they're
Yeah.
the custodians.
it's quite a bit for, not, I said not enough for somebody to pay $20 to paint the whole building, wouldn't it?
You get pretty good service up there.
Sure.
you know, I think that probably they get a good value for their dollar up there.
I wasn't asking that, it just seemed that we're gonna pay them $15 or $20. If that's all they're paying them, that's, they need to pay.
I think that's per hour.
I would hope so.
It is per hour.
Yep. Okay. A motion to accept. Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? You gotta work harder over there, there's only one of you.
Well, I thought you wanted to get that side being.
Oh, well, I know, but I don't want to forget you over
You
there.
just keep looking this way.
It does help when there's only one over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in favor, we did, all in favor, okay. Committee minutes, economic development, and we have Belinda.
Don't worry, Bill, I will be brief. I was just trusting you all have read your minutes, and I'll take any questions that you have.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Which set?
I noticed that it's a 4:30, so.
And which set of minutes have you got there?
I have three.
Yeah, I know.
We
Okay.
have Economic Development
Yep.
Planning Committee minutes, we have a Cultural Roundtable minutes, and we have Launch It minutes.
Yep.
Oh, good.
And
We've been very
there are
busy.
some, like, big projects and big issues within those, and if you have questions, I can answer those.
That was brief.
Questions? Councillor Colwell.
Maybe you could just outline the schedule for the CD cover contest.
Yes.
Yep, so our CD cover contest, if you remember, we did the Songwriters Challenge, and all of those people are having their songs recorded right now. We've decided to do a CD cover challenge for local artists to partake, and it is launching February 9th. It launched February 9th.
It launched already, it's launched.
No, that's Monday.
No,
That's
that's
next
Monday, you're all right,
Okay.
you're good,
I'm
yeah,
like, so
you're good.
confused. It's launching February 9th, so next Monday it launches, and then the whole process is there, and judging is on social media, either Facebook or by people emailing us which image they like the best. The one with the most votes will be the cover, and there may be an opportunity to include second and third as either the inside or the back cover. So.
I'm going to withdraw from the competition because I don't want to prejudice it. Plus, I can't draw, I can't do any kind of thing like that.
I think it's clear in here you're not allowed. Read that somewhere.
Well, thank goodness,
Read that
Councillor Dirksen, because I would be really afraid to put my effort in.
I think that was the reason.
Yeah, maybe. Very
And I
good.
guess one thing I will mention is the next council meeting, I saw was a heavy agenda, but I will be doing our 2014 year in review and what our 2015 priorities are, as well as a report on the BR&E project and our action plan coming out of that. So I will be in your face a lot at the next meeting, so hence the short
And
one.
before you leave, I must say that you did that at the chamber last night, right?
A shorter version.
Shorter version.
That was a shorter version?
And, well, and I'm going,
All tired just listening to
I
it,
was,
like
I
you
almost,
couldn't
yeah, I was tired. I think people were in awe of what's going on. I stopped in the other day because I've been kind of running around and I haven't, Bill and I used to always have lots of little chats, and so I haven't been in for a little while. And if you go into her office, you'll see the wall there, and it's got all her charts and what she has to do, and when she gets something done, strokes them off. So I was there to see that, and she gave me a brief overview of what she was doing. And then the chamber last night, you're extremely busy, and you're doing a lot of good work. So
2015 is probably our biggest year ever.
yeah,
I would
we've
say.
got a lot of great stuff happening,
Yeah.
and appreciate your
exciting.
hard work. And
Yes, thank
now you got your new team
you. Now I have my staff.
Yeah.
It's great.
For now.
for now.
That's
Don't let them
that's
sit
your
in that
fault.
chair.
Life is always fluid, eh?
Take that chair out.
Anyways, great. Motion to receive.
All three.
Okay, Councillor Elliott and Councillor
Brace.
Dirksen, all in favor? Okay, good. And now we have up. Can you do this as quick? Who is this? Matt, you're here doing this. Oh, we have to attest, Matt.
Yes,
Do we?
eventually. Supposed to.
All right. Well, if we fail.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'll try and go quickly through these three reports. I tried finding a council meeting with a late agenda, but I guessed wrong. The first report's just an accessibility annual update. So this was something that was prepared in late 2014. Just outlines some of the things that the town was doing with respect to accessibility during that calendar year. One of our main focuses was training, just ensuring all staff were trained in it, and we also did an annual refresher, and that's something we're going to look at doing every year, just because the initial training, when you're a few years removed from it, sometimes you'll forget certain things.
Right.
In 2014, our website was completely overhauled and updated, and so one of the challenges now is going to be ensuring that all current and new content is accessible and meets online guidelines. A great news story in 2014 was being able to apply for and receive county funding through their grant program. So last year we received $10,000 that we were able to put towards the train station in Harriston, bathroom renovations there. And we have applied successfully and already received $10,000 this year for upgrades to the Lions Clubhouse washrooms in Palmerston. So things are looking good. Again, it's been great to work with the county accessibility coordinator. The current coordinator there is Christine Carbone, and a great resource and great to work with. Any questions with respect to the annual report?
Just one on the Lions Clubhouse. Everybody knows what that is. We own it.
Correct.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure people don't think that we're giving, the Lions have some building that we're renovating for them. So, but can you give me a little update as to, the washrooms there, Ron, are where? Right at the back? Or Matt, one of you.
When you come in the door, the washrooms are to the right.
To the right.
And you go right, and it's a small hallway. You could never get a wheelchair through.
Right.
And then little doorways, and just like one toilet per place. So what the plan is, it isn't fully, but what the plan will be is those washrooms were completely eliminated. We'll take them right out of there. There's a little storage area right next door where they used to keep their bowling balls and such like, and where the power is. That wall and all that's coming out, so that side of the building will now become square.
Okay.
So you'll be right up, so you'll go a square area. And then they're taking the washrooms, moving them back to the, I guess, the southeast end of the building.
Right,
so,
okay, yep.
And just above the kitchen, and they're gonna make them all wheelchair accessible.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and at least one of them, I think you'd have to have at least one, is that correct? One, you could, if you can get away with just having one wheelchair accessible, I think?
As long as, through Mayor Bridge, as long as it's, I believe, on the same floor, so in this
Yeah.
case, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the Lions are planning on doing the work, so that's how we can keep the dollars in place, and it shouldn't cost the town any dollars at all. We're hoping that we can keep that within budget of $10,000.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is the building accessible now?
No.
No, so are you building that into the?
No, I don't think that part is that's planned for the next following term. But they're making it wheelchair accessible inside the building, and then eventually.
Okay, because I know you were talking about doing something at the back.
Yes, and that's
decking or something.
That's still in thought.
And that was maybe where you would get the accessibility, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in talking to Dave, he's rethought it. He thought maybe it should come from the front, and then he's rethought it. And I said, you ever thought of building the deck out back? We're building a deck back.
Right.
Back. And then he would probably bring it around the side of the building.
Well, that's why I wondered, and then come up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're right.
Yeah, that's fine. Any other questions? No? Okay. Motion to accept? Councillor Caldwell? Councillor Elliott, all in favor?
We already did.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The next report up is the workplace violence and harassment policy and training.
Yes.
So this was established in 2010 as part of a province-wide initiative by the Ministry of Labor. It's something that all new staff receive training upon hire, and then retake the test as part of an annual refresher. So when the Health and Safety Committee met in December, they thought it would be advantageous for this new council to become familiarized with the policy, as well as a summary sheet. Basically, that one-page summary sheet takes the 14-page policy and condenses it down. And we thought that council completion of the test would serve as proof of such. So I have brought tests here. I don't know, for the sake of time, if that's something we want to try and finish up later, or if you want to tackle it together now.
Well, I think we have to be at 5 o'clock. We have to go into a...
Mayor Bridge, as long as we have a committee of adjustment after 5, we're okay.
After 5, okay.
Yep. So no, there's not an issue that way.
No, so you want to do it now?
Sure, I can just lead you through the questions. It's true, false, and then the last one is just a simple one. So I'll grab the tests and stand them out, and then I'll have to catch up with Councillor Turton and Deputy Mayor Faulkner.
I already passed mine, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Yes.
February 3rd, isn't it?
Okay, this should be coming through. I'm just not speaking into it clearly.
February
Oh, I gotta look that up.
So if you could just fill out the information at the top there, and then all of these answers can be found on the summary sheet.
Yeah.
But we can go through it together. So the first question, true or false? Workplace harassment includes the exercise of physical force by a colleague or member of the public on a worker.
True.
It's actually false. That would be workplace violence.
Oh, violence. Oh, okay.
Trick question.
Trick question already.
Bring up the battlefield.
Is the press doing this too? I just wanted.
I'm going to say I had that one because I didn't have a chance.
I didn't want to lose to the press.
Second question is true or false? Workplace harassment is engaging in a course of vexatious comment or conduct against a worker in a workplace that is known or ought reasonably known to be unwelcome. That's true.
Yeah, I'm going to say, now we get worried now.
Yeah, after the first one.
True or false? Workplace violence includes physical force, an attempt to exercise physical force, or a statement or behavior that may be interpreted as a threat to exercise physical force.
True. True.
True. True or false? Harassment includes a supervisor disciplining a worker for workplace infractions.
False.
That'd be false as long as they're following proper policy and
Right.
procedure. True or false? If you feel you're being harassed, the first thing you should do is tell the person you feel is harassing you to stop.
That's false. That's true.
True.
Yeah.
True or false? Number 6, one of the formal procedures to handle acts of harassment or violence is to complete the incident form Schedule A. And that would be true. So in the formal procedure, we obviously need to have
Yep.
paperwork.
Yep.
And then number 7 is what is the title of Schedule B? And that
Besides
can be
Schedule
found
B?
under prevention.
Besides Schedule B?
Yeah. That's the workplace violence and harassment assessment form. If there's any questions regarding the summary sheet or the policy or the quiz, feel free to ask.
Good. All right.
And I'll collect them in a moment.
I think when you do this, I got 100%.
Well,
I got that feeling, don't you?
truthfully, did you get that first one though?
I waited till you
Time.
see.
Oh, all right. Okay,
I wouldn't have
whatever.
got it.
I'm not trying to harass you. Okay, go ahead. Are you still up?
We're on number 3?
Number 3.
Number 3, okay. The third report before you is just an agreement with the horticultural societies, one from Clifford, one from Harriston. So basically, the proposed agreement is very similar to the one that we had in place for the last 3 years. Basically, just outline what they'll pay us for rentals of our facilities, and then just covers off the fact that we do give them an annual donation to help offset some of their operational cost, plant and material cost, for the free work that they provide, just kind of beautifying our towns and town-owned spaces. Are there any questions pertaining to the report or those agreements?
No, I like the fact that we're continuing on that path, Matt, to try to make all our agreements consistent. I think that's important, and I comment to Prac and to yourself on getting that done.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
Okay. Motion to accept? Councilor Dirksen, Councilor Anderson, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey. And this is up to you there, Bill, CAO.
Mayor Bridge, I too will be brief in the interest of time. County of Wellington has been going through, I guess, a lot of their old records to confirm that they own all the properties they should own post-amalgamation. We mentioned back in the October to the previous council road allowances, and we're in the process of making some transfers in those cases. This last one is the former Norman Street road allowance, and our recommendation to you is that we proceed with the disposition of the property to the county. I don't know the Norman Street site all that well, but generally speaking, if we cannot own landfills that have been closed, that's probably a good thing. The liability rests with the county, so that's our recommendation, that we proceed with that transfer.
Questions? Councilor, so moved by Councilor Colwell. I want to get this done quickly. Councilor Elliott, all in favor? Opposed?
No.
You're thinking?
I just want
Oh,
to
you had a
clarify.
question, sorry.
It is the actual landfill site, not just the road allowance.
That's correct, if I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, that, and we didn't come out in color there, but it's the, if you can see the mill, and where Norman Street and Nelson Street come in, it's the rectangular property behind the ones that are on Brunswick, that are labeled as 405 through 435. That's that square piece behind, and then sort of to the up and to the left of the page, that long page, that piece
I think
in
it's an
that.
excellent idea, too.
Yeah,
Give that back to
we don't want to own them. Okay.
Just quick, I know they're continually monitoring, like they have pipes and monitoring things. Do we ever get any information on that? Do you know?
If there was anything, I would bring it back to you, but it's the county. And
Yeah,
the county
I
has to
didn't
monitor
know.
it. I haven't heard anything since I've been there
Yeah.
that there's been a
Okay.
problem, but definitely I would assume that, and I'll make sure of
So
that.
forever and ever, that's going to remain as closed and no one will be able to, like,
Right.
we used to put snow in there and stuff like that, but we're not allowed to do that.
I don't think we do that anymore.
Okay.
But anyways, no, we'll continue to keep that.
Okay,
They would have to let us know, I'm sure.
yeah.
Okay. All right. You again, Bill?
Did you do the motion on that?
Oh, I did a motion on that.
Okay.
Did we all vote? Yeah, we voted, right?
All right.
Yeah, we're good. We're ahead.
Carried.
Okay. Mayor Bridge, my second report is on the bait fishing bylaw. This matter was brought forward by Mark McKenzie way back on September 2nd. We have received a legal opinion on the bait fishing bylaw. There are issues with enforceability of that. We had identified that through our chief building official back at that time. If you can imagine the practice that a bait taking, the person may go in on the road allowance into a stream, take the bait out, and we would have to catch them see them take the bait out and see also that they were selling it for commercial purposes. So the duty of care, the burden of proof in that case is a difficult one, to say the least. The fact that they're just on town lands, what they're saying is would not have been enough. So I think the lawyer is prepared to rewrite the bylaw and bring it back for your consideration if you still wish us to stay in that business of attempting to protect the use of the municipal lands for access to the streams. I did have a fairly good conversation with the Ministry of Natural Resources. They did say that there is only one licensee in the area for this area. If there were ever any issues with how that is occurring annually, that a simple call to them and they will enforce and discuss with the licensee any concerns that we may have. But it's up to you how you wish to proceed with this, and we're seeking your direction on whether you wish to repeal the bylaw or rewrite the bylaw.
Questions? Councilor Anderson first, and Councilor.
So the concerns that were raised in the report were the same, people were seeing landowners were complaining, were they complaining about the licensed individual or people who were not licensed who were
It's my
accessing?
understanding, if I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, that it was primarily the licensed person, but there was also unlicensed people coming and taking bait as well. But we haven't had many complaints, if any, in the last 3 years that I know of, so
Gary?
not much is going on in that area now.
The complaints that we received from the licensed individual more had to do with the fact that there's signs there and they were still doing what they're doing. People didn't have an issue with the actual what was going on, just the fact that it was a sign posted saying you can't do it. And the other complaint we got was from the attitude of the individual. He's not very personable or likes being approached, and that was more the nature of the concerns versus actual taking of bait fish.
We're not concerned about the effects on the environment or the number of fish that he's taking, it's sort of the way he goes about it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, the M&R, they're the ones who control for specific areas, how much you can take, what species you can take, where they can or can't be transported to. We don't have any control over that, and that wasn't the nature of any of the complaints I received.
Well, I guess I would have to say that that is a concern. Because if you take the little fish, they never get to be big fish, and if you don't have big fish, you don't have any fishing opportunities. Not that that's a huge commercial aspect here in Minto, but you know, there are people that like to just go out for Sunday afternoon and do some fishing. So if we repeal the bylaw, that doesn't close the door to opening it up again if there gets to be a problem, and we could have our lawyers write up another bylaw.
Maybe I would like to say to staff, maybe go out and research if there's any bylaws that are out there that seem to be enforceable. I mean, there must be something out there. If it is, I don't want to have to remake the wheel if there's something there. The problem is the enforceability, and I guess this one we thought we could even enforce it. We really can't. So we might as well repeal this one and then maybe look. One of the other things, maybe what staff could look at too, and I'll maybe say this is, at one time there, I know probably when Mark had the concern here, there was a lot more of it going on, because at one point, I think, and I'm not sure, Terry, if we're not in an area now where we can, there's certain our baits can't go. I mean, when they used to go up north, and there's a restriction now on where you get your bait, and this bait fishing whole thing is starting to get less and less, because we're being careful about putting species with diseases in lakes that don't have them. So I believe that restrictions are a lot worse, or like a lot harder now from a ministry standpoint of where the baits go from here, how far they can go, where they can go. I don't like the fact they take all our, like, I'm not sure they're that good at making sure the little trout don't get scooped up at the same time as they,
Scoop.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're supposed to be watching, they're supposed to put them back. I'm a fisherman, I can get angsty about this, but can you talk a bit about that, Terry?
Okay, a couple of years ago, we were in an area where our bait fish could be transported all the way across Ontario.
Right.
We were the most, I guess, westerly area that could. I don't know if we've been kind of rolled into that banned area, and I know from just seeing the guys around, they're not around.
They're not here as much. That's why I'm thinking. Can you check that for us? Because I think we are. I think we got moved into that area. Or Bill?
Yeah, I don't actually think we're in that area. I think it's just an issue of volume and interest. What I'm hoping, we're either into it or we're not. And if we're into it, we should be into it about the issues that are under our control and not what the Ministry of Natural Resources does. So we'll bring back information, if you wish, on what they do and how they do it and that kind of stuff. But our bylaw was to regulate access to the stream. So if that's what we're doing, I don't think we should be getting into a separate licensing and control and what they're taking and what they're not taking. That's not our
no, I definitely realize that's ministry, but I'm wondering, like, but can we have a bylaw that stops them from going to the thing? It doesn't sound like this bylaw worked.
Not the way it's written, Mayor Bridge, but there is probably another way of writing it, and we can bring that back to you if you still want us to pursue that.
Yeah. Councillor Caldwell.
Has anyone passed this information on to Mark McKenzie about the lack of enforceability and what his response is? He seemed to be very...
Yeah, I mean,
if I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, I felt it was important to come to you first.
Yeah, well, for sure.
If we're repealing the bylaw, I was going to let Mark know that that's where we're heading, but yeah.
Well, I think in my mind, we repeal the bylaw because it doesn't work, and have people look at whether there's a better solution out there.
There is about 3 other municipalities that passed a bait fishing bylaw. Unfortunately, it's identical to ours.
No.
So we're going to be writing it straight from scratch.
Okay.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it doesn't have to be a long bylaw, but if your direction is to repeal and replace, then we just need a motion to that effect, and we'll bring back some options for you to look at.
Yeah, that's the way I'd like to see it. Is everybody all right with that? Okay, moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Yeah, so that's what we'll look. And maybe we can put more teeth into it too, because I think the minimum fine is like, or the maximum fine is $35 or something, you know?
Yep.
Like that's going to deter anybody.
Oh, I was going to say, it's going to take a while to figure everything out in an individual case, but...
Okay. All right, and I would suggest you inform Mark, because he's pretty passionate about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe he would work with some suggestions or work with you on that.
Well, we can, anybody from the public can give us input.
Right.
Right, so, by all means. Okay, moving on.
My final report relates to lands on Ann Street, which are subject to a conditional agreement of purchase and sale. These are lots 267 and 268, which if you look at your report on Ann Street, they're labeled as number 16 and 18. Unfortunately, I didn't copy this in color for you, but, and then the other lots, 316 to 321, are labeled as A on the map. A little bit of background, we did acquire all those lots and quite a lengthy amount of former rail land to settle a lawsuit. Lot 267, 268 were acquired in a land swap with Jeffrey and Candace Wright. That was some years ago. Proposal is to sell that parcel to Mr. Molinar, who has plans for multiple family development on that, semis, perhaps an apartment building. He's still discussing options on that one. The zoning allows for that. It's a mixed-use zone, and the offer is pretty straightforward on it. The other lands to be acquired are the 6 lots along on the other side of Ann Street. First 3 lots would close in 2016 in May, and the second set of lots would close in September of 2016. The purchase price for the 2 lots 267, 268 is $45,000. That includes water and sewer to the lot line. There's a condition on that of having a servicing agreement. The details of that servicing agreement will come back to you and to Mr. Molinar at a later date as we negotiate the terms for the installation of water along Ann Street at that location. Purchase price for the 6 lots for residential purposes is $22,500 per lot, or $135,000, and that would include a water and sanitary connection to the lot line. The preliminary figure we have for servicing that block is $100,000. That's subject to confirmation at budget. The lands are exempt from an appraisal. We don't have to do that under our disposition of property bylaw, but we do know that lots in Clifford range in price from $20,000 to $30,000 serviced, depending on where they are. In comparison to the Clifford ball field, they're looking at about $21,428 per townhouse unit. So here we're at about $22,500 per single family. So we tried to be fair and remain within the market prices here. In terms of procedure from here on, if you're comfortable with proceeding with this, then we would declare the land surplus, which is in the recommendation. We would be giving notice next week that their sale would be concluding, and that would be followed by a bylaw on March 3rd that would authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign all documents related to that. March 17th, after you've considered your capital budget, you would have the servicing agreement with the purchaser, and as soon as that's signed, the deal could close in April or May. So that's our recommendation to you, that you declare the land surplus and that the bylaw be brought back to you in the first or second week of March, so that the mayor and clerk can execute all documents.
Questions? Oh, okay. Motion to accept. Councilor Caldwell, Councilor Anderson, all in favor? Great.
Bridge, I wasn't sure, Brian, if you knew anything about the Linda Dixon's report on the generator, but basically we've been working with the county emergency coordinator had been working with Minto Clifford School on connecting the generator, connections for our mobile generator, and has come to an agreement on that. There is a memorandum of understanding that she's drafted up. There are a couple of little issues on the final page of it that we would need to correct before it's executed. But basically this is only to apply in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, very name changes in that. Okay.
We could hear you.
Yeah, there's just, basically, they didn't like the wording in the agreement, so they just had some things changed in that, so.
As the council knows, that's our emergency spot. If we have floods, we go up to school, so makes sense to have a generator.
Just, I noticed on here that the pets wouldn't be allowed in, but what are they gonna do with their pets? Like if it's an indoor dog or a cat or something that can't be, what's a person to do if, I mean, it's part of their family, a lot of them.
I really don't know, Ron.
Should we be
Councillor
asking
Riley.
them to reconsider that? Because if it's an emergency, usually it's not like they're gonna be in there for a month. It's usually like a night or 2 nights or whatever, right?
I could forward your concern to Linda and have her
Yeah,
address that with
I
them.
really believe, like, you would just, some people probably wouldn't go to an emergency shelter if they can't take their pet with them. I mean, it means so much to their family, it's all part of them, right? Especially a senior. And that's probably one of the people that would be wanting to be involved in it. So either find a place where we can accommodate the pets, or be able to bring them with them.
Councillor Anderson, Councillor.
I would just add to that, if I understand the concern about pets, but provided they were in a proper carrier. The last thing you need is a bunch of pets running around with a bunch of, in a strange situation with small children potentially there as well. So if they have a proper carrier, perhaps we might want to look at the wording of that. But if they can't control the pet or maintain it in that, I'm thinking we don't want it full of pets. And I also had a question, if I could. Is this a portable generator, so we're putting the wiring so we could take a generator there? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, we purchased a new generator that's adaptable to connect to that school in case of emergency.
So where is the generator housed?
It's in Palmerston in our public workshop.
Because my only question then was, if we can't get to the arena, what if we can't get the generator to the school?
Trust me, we'll get it there.
Well,
Okay.
what would happen probably too, once the committee is, like, once you're into a situation where you have this, we have a response committee, and they would anticipate where generators have to go and whatnot. So we get it there. The idea is to just have the thing. Judy?
I guess I will echo Councillor Anderson's comments, but what concerned me as well was they may be accommodated on the grounds, but they're the responsibility of the town. So we have to have something in place for those pets. We just...
Well, and I think that was what I was going to bring up. And if we've got a spot, or if we decide we have to have it, maybe there has to be a tent or something there, or whatever, depending on what the situation is. But I can understand why they don't want them in the school, and for that basis.
I would imagine allergies is probably a major factor too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people are allergic to cats. And
maybe there's such a thing as a portable kennel or something.
Well, and we'll figure that. We'll bring back that to the emergency measures and see what. I'm sure there must have been something, and I've never heard it in the plan, but. Go ahead.
Mayor Bridge, this isn't our emergency plan. This is just the protocol
for
using the school.
Yeah.
So, as you recall, when we were actually moving into a flood situation last spring, there was quite a bit of warning. And the things you talk to the neighbors about and what goes out and handouts is things about pets and trying to make pre-arrangements so they get their pets out of there before they have to evacuate. But if they don't, then we would deal with them on a case-by-case basis, trying to. If there's cages, get cages. If not, then, you know, these are things that it's people first, then property, and then pets. And I know they're important, but this isn't our emergency plan. So the school board doesn't want us inside with pets. That's fine. Well, if pets happen to come in a case, they'll be taken outside, and we'll have to have a plan in place for them. That's why we meet as an emergency planning group, and these issues as they come forward are dealt with then. So.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Motion to accept. Councilor Elliott, Councilor Anderson, all in favor? All right. And we're moving over to the Treasurer's report. I'll turn it over to Councilor Caldwell.
And the Finance Committee only has one item on the agenda today, and it is the approval of accounts. And I'll turn it over to our Treasurer Duff to review the accounts.
Sure.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor.
Mayor,
Both of you.
whoa.
It's been a long meeting, eh?
Just moving right along, aren't you?
See, you get the microphone and see what happens.
Still 3.5 years left.
More to next year.
Maybe
eh?
even
We'll see
more.
that.
Is there something you did?
I don't know. Somebody asked me if I can be impeached. I'm not sure. I've never looked at it.
That's why I'm sitting over here all by myself.
Yeah, get further. Anyway, we still have that time of year where we've done work in the fall and we're getting the bills for it now. We've got $17,000 for economic development servicing. Drains, $1,800 again to Dietrich Engineering. Biggest one, we have $139,000 on the culvert on the third line, which, if you remember driving by, it was quite an impressive bit of work they were doing there. And we've got, of course, some snow removal. Just for example, one bill for snow removal for Marlborough was $7,300 and $21,000 in sand and salt from the county. We're working away at finishing up the force main at the Harrison plant there, so another $25,000 there. And some work on the water towers, actually, for a cleaning and inspection of $4,700. And we took down some light standards at the Clifford Ballpark, so $3,800. So those are the highlights from this period, anyway.
Would there be any questions for Treasurer Duff? No? Then the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated January 21st, 2015 regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for January 2015. May I have someone make that motion, please? Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor? And it's passed. Thank you.
Thanks.
You want to continue on here?
Gotta do it.
Keep going? Okay. And next we have, there's Darrell right there. And Brian, welcome back. Hope your mics are working.
Check, check.
Okay, good.
I guess, are you expecting my report next? Is that?
Yes,
I'm
sorry,
next on
Darrell.
the
Yes,
agenda?
we're looking
Okay.
at for the compliance coordinator report. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Mayor and council, and I will also add owners of Minto's water systems.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I'm not used to PowerPoints, and in a matter of saving time, I'm just gonna very briefly highlight or give a discussion and then just have opportunity for some questions.
Sure.
So first of all, DWQMS awareness. What is DWQMS? DWQMS is Drinking Water Quality Management Standard. It's a program that MOE has mandated for all water systems to operate under in order to get their drinking water license. We started 2007. We started writing our operation plan as a requirement of the QMS. 2011, we had our external audit and received our accreditation. And very briefly then, we've gone through another 3 years and have another reaccreditation that occurred in November. So we're sitting well that way. In 2016, our license expires. So we need to apply 6 months ahead of time in order for our financial plan to be put into place, and then that financial plan has to last or be set for the next 6 years minimum. The information that I gave in your package pretty much explains the position as owners. If you look, this is what my operation plan looks like. It's the same plan that I submitted to you electronically. I guess as owners, it would be a good idea for you to be aware not so much every word that's in this plan, but kind of your responsibilities. The Safe Drinking Water Act speaks to the standard of care, which is this is a portion of the Safe Drinking Water Act. A lot of you have already taken the training in the Safe Drinking Water Act. Those who haven't, I would highly recommend you take the opportunity to take that.
On that, Darryl, like we took it up in Walkerton.
Yes.
Is there some times coming up that?
I believe Bill has
the
some
schedule?
information
Okay.
on that.
Good. Okay. That'd be good, because I would recommend to the new council. I don't know if Judy, if you took it way back when. It's certainly good to take it up in Walkerton. You can see the facility, what the province has put there, and they'll give you a little tour, I think, too, when you're there, and it's amazing what training goes on.
Yeah. There's excellent. That's another thing that, as a water department, we appreciate the support of our Public Works Director and you as council. Training is a big part of us being able to operate a system to provide safe water. In a nutshell, that's what our mandate is to provide safe water to our customers. There's a lot of aspects that need to be dealt with in order to do that. So I failed to mention that the Drinking Water Quality Management Standard is a outcome of Justice O'Connor's inquiry into the Walkerton inquiry. So I'm going to cut it off there. I'd be more than glad at any time to discuss water with any of you.
Questions for Darryl? Councilor Caldwell.
For you, Mayor Bridge, we had talked last meeting of maybe trying to schedule tours of
wells,
et cetera. Is that still on the agenda?
I think I don't want to go out right now because it's cold.
Okay.
I mean,
so it's something we look at in the spring.
Yeah,
it's on our schedule, on our radar. We're gonna try and coordinate maybe something with source protection. They have a mandate also, and maybe we can work together and come up
Kyle's
with something.
shaking his head over there, so that worked. Yeah, because I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So we have to be there. We have to look at those as well, probably.
So just off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe we can have a presentation time at the arena or at the community hall, and then break for a visit to the water tower and some wells, and let people see where their water comes from.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that good, everybody? But I'd like to do it when it's a little warmer.
Yes, I'm in agreement
Okay.
with Mayor Bridge.
So everybody should climb the water tower, though? It's important.
As operators, we can't, so you better not either.
I have to recall the fact that this one young contestant for the junior ambassador in Palmerston for the fair had a thing about the water tower, using it on one side to be put rock climbing, put the little things on it so you could climb up to the top, and then you could bungee jump off the top. That along with the zip line from the bridge down to the pool. So I've got Public Works and the building inspector looking at those options, but right now our risk environment is not good.
That fella should maybe speak with the guy that climbed Niagara Falls. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I said, yeah. So all good.
Okay.
Yeah. Brian, you got anything?
No, we close our water systems down during the summertime, so it has to be in the winter when you go on.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No more questions. So can we have a Councilor Elliott? Councilor Anderson, you're right on top of it today.
We always are. We just have to get your head turned. this way.
I'm looking good. All in favor? I got nobody to look at over here. But
I know.
No, I'm not nobody. I mean,
This end of the table.
That's because,
well, she's also the mayor.
Yeah, I was going to say
Plus
the
the
new
mayor's
mayor.
job.
New mayor. Okay, thank you very much. Now it's your. You got something else? Oh, the snow.
Yeah, we
yes,
have a snow
yes,
bank removal report here.
Yep.
Last April, as you recall, previous council approved the attached snow removal policy, which is attached to this report. And I was accepted to go to a Palmerston Downtown Revitalization Committee meeting on January 7th. And they had some issues with how the snowbanks were being removed, and basically they wanted us to remove them more often is what it boiled down to. We had a look at it. This is not the first time we went through this, but 3 or 4 different approaches to it, and we're doing the best we can with what the equipment we have. It's very efficient, and we do not see that there's any issues, other than if you would like to have it done more often, then that will be up for council's decision on it. Some people, everybody has their own opinions on this, how it should be done, and when and how it is performed to take the snow and where to be pushed. So some want it done more often, some say we're doing it too often, so we're between a rock and a hard place. But I said I'd bring a report forth to council and talk with you over it if you had any questions on it, or if you wanted to see some changes to the policy then.
Great. Questions? Councillor Elliott.
I was at that meeting also, and you handled that very well, Brian. You gave them all the information they needed and good background, good dollars and cents on what budget we have. I do agree with what you're doing, that we should be continuing to support what we already have in place. I looked downtown this morning, and I did say to you, you thought I was being sarcastic, but I wasn't, that the main street looked good. You had it all cleaned up where you could, and it's been a better winter for you this year, so I don't, last year was...
Last winter was a challenge.
I think it was a challenge just to try and get the job done. It wasn't a matter of how often you moved, and just you guys were plowing so much, you couldn't get on the streets to get the job done, so I believe you're doing fine, and I think the downtown revitalization will be better this year with it.
Yeah, the guys work hard. They really do work hard at it.
And you listened to their concerns. You didn't say they didn't.
No,
and
I listened to everybody has their own opinion on it, and that's fair.
Yep.
I left at Clifford on last night, and they were working on Clifford, and then I know Harrison got done. I assumed Pemberton got done, so I'm glad it got done, but because it was fairly high. But it was at the meter thing, and
some cases at 5 feet or 2.
Yeah, I mean because of the way that.
Yeah.
Down early.
But
quickly.
Yeah, but I think one thing that we did do, and it's not in this report, but I just want to bring it up, is the fact that when we went out to tender last year and went to contract to find out how much it would cost us per time so that we contract this out. I believe we also went around to the different municipalities and sort of got an idea what their standards were, and that's why we come up with the meter. So it wasn't like we just picked it out of the sky.
No.
We did do, and it's not in this report, Bill, but I think you had mentioned to me that when we did the original quoting and trying to find out what we think we needed to do a budget item, that we talked about a meter as being our standard.
That's correct.
And I think we have to give some flexibility to the public works. I thought about it the other night. Like if you get a storm, and then you got a bad situation, but you have one day, and then you know you're having another storm the next day. Do you wait and I mean, you know, it gets down to the point where how many people are out in a storm and whatnot. So we have to be careful, and you know, a budget is a budget, and I think we try to do it as much as we can in order to get it done. And I thought, I mean, obviously it needed to be done yesterday or like last night, and it got done. And we got a contract that does that now. So where we ran into a bit of a problem, as you know, Ron, last year we were trying to do it, and we didn't have a place to put snow half the time.
No, we run out of places, and we had to start clearing other places to put
so,
it. And you got to be careful too, like where you're putting that snow.
Because it's got contaminant.
That's right. So you're restricted in a lot of ways. We're following minimum maintenance standards. Are being followed to a T, and
So any other comments on this? I think this is a good one.
I don't know if Bill wants to add anything to it, or...
Go ahead, Councilor Dennis.
Well, I was just going to comment that the policy appears to be still in draft, and I wondered if there was a plan by Public Works to review that, maybe at the end of the season, or whether council would get a chance to, you know, do some scribbling on it, or what the plan is for that.
If I may, and that Councillor Jerson did discuss that with me, and I feel like we left it in draft because there was a lot of opinions at the end of last winter as to how we should be doing things, and that's why we brought the policy forward, and we're kind of living with it this winter and seeing how it's worked. one thing that I think really worked well is the decision of council and Public Works to tender out the whole function of removing the bank. So then you just call the contractor, they come and do it, and they're gone. Before, we would sometimes get someone, and then maybe it's sometimes our people and their people, and I think that was a wise approach. But there are other things in the policy Councillor Dirksen mentioned about some communication on our website, and all that kind of stuff hasn't happened yet.
No.
And I think we should look at doing that. That would mean our patrol person would come back and maybe pop some stuff on our website so people can see each day what's going on. That has worked in the past in other locations, and the policy talks about that. So what I was hoping, and I would just want to support our Public Works people here, that last winter I think was a challenging one for everyone. I think everyone if they weren't depressed at the end of that winter, they were pretty close. And so the magnitude of calls and some of the vitriol in the calls, it was a little challenging for all our people, but this winter has been a lot better. And as was said, I think our people tried to do the best we could under the circumstances. Our only little lagging issue out there, if we had one, is whether we do the private lots or our own lots, or we contract that out. And as of now, that decision is we're still doing that ourselves. At the end of this winter, we'll have a look at the policy. If you want to give us some feedback on how well that's working, we'll take the feedback. But we should put the policy and adopt it by bylaw at some point. Our feeling was that would be after this winter. And the council would have a chance to.
Yeah. It's a good point, Councillor Dirksen, and I think that the flexibility, because we're going to live with this, because we changed how we do it, see how it goes, and we still have the issue on the private parking lot, or the parking lots, because.
And I was really surprised on the snow removal part. When we put it out for tender, we only had one bidder come back.
Yep.
On that.
And actually, it's a pretty fair price, I think, to
Yep.
be honest with you. It's a lot of work. Anyways, okay.
Any other questions? Or?
No.
I just should say also that, I mean, even the private contractors had trouble getting to wherever they had to get to last year.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I mean, it's not to say that, I mean, you just couldn't keep up. It was almost impossible, no matter who you were.
And snow storage.
And the good news, Martin, well, he didn't see his shadow, so like basically,
Early
what are we
spring.
talking? Middle of March, we'll be out of this, no problem. Another month, we're good. But if you trust him, don't trust him. He's been wrong so many times.
Open up your pool.
Yeah. Don't break out the champagne yet.
Mayor
All
Bridge,
right.
if I may then, I'm not hearing that we want to increase the standard at this point in time. If there was a motion to receive the report, and if you want to review at the year end, then we would.
Yeah, I like that, review at
That's
the
what I'd
year
like to
end.
do.
Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Where are we?
Other business, Mayor Bridge.
Other business. Oh, Ron.
Yeah, just going to bring forward our annual OSM conference is coming. That's the group I belong to, the Ontario Small Municipalities, and the date is April 29th to May 1st, and I believe that's a Wednesday when it starts, April 29th. And just kind of highlighting what's happening. There's a early bird golf start, and if anyone that doesn't golf, there's an early bird cheddar and ale tour, they call it. So I guess it's quite good. So there's a lot of people that don't golf but still want to get involved in something to kick off the conference. There's a companion program also with it. And that includes a trade show, and a full-day wine tour is the companion program. Thursday, there's a wine and food, the perfect combination. We're pretty excited. We're going to dine around, and then we're coming back. Then Ron James is going to be the entertainment for the evening after. Instead of having a banquet this year, all the restaurants are right tight to it. So we have about a 2-hour area in there that we can go out and dine in restaurants and then come back to the theater. So the theater is right there. And Ron James will be quite good. Speakers, we have several good ones. Kathleen Wynn is attending, and she will be doing a presentation at I'm trying to think what day she's in. I'll find it, or I won't. But anyhow, you just got to know that she's going to be there. We're pretty excited about this. If you go on, oh, and one of the unique things we're trying this year is if you go to conferences quite often, you're involved in breakout sessions, and we've always had that too. This year, we're offering a breakout session, and the breakout session is going to be like almost a tour. It's going to be done on a bus. So the different topics that we're talking about, people will go on a bus and they will actually tour the facilities and such like that they're talking about. How to build a better community is one of them. There's different topics that they talk to, and you actually get to see what's happening and where it is and how things are happening. They're still going to have a breakout session. It's going to be about bicycle friendly, physical, that type of thing. And there's going to be one session if people decide that they don't want to go on the breakout session within buses. We assume that they'll want to do that, so we have 3 buses available. Other than that, it's going to be, if you want to go online and have a look at our conference, Belleville, the staff have just put together an excellent program. They're well organized. I think it's going to be fabulous, and that's been quite a community. They've done some really good things.
What day does it start, Ron? On the 29th?
29th. April 29th is when you register.
That's a Friday.
Where is it?
Is it a Friday? Or is it a Wednesday?
Might be a Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday? Oh, it's a Wednesday, right?
Usually Wednesday, I believe.
Yep, Wednesday.
Yes.
Mayor Bridge, if you like, through you to Councillor Elliott, or Annalene could circulate the information to council so that if they're interested, you're allowed to go to these subject to your budget sessions. So
I really believe this is an excellent conference and an excellent group to be involved with, because most of the communities that you're dealing with and the people that you're dealing with and the outlook are all to deal with the same kind of problems that we have. It's not like the GTA or Ottawa or something like that. We have our small, it's at 50,000 and under that belong to this organization. And we're really excited about it. I think we got a lot to offer, and obviously Kathleen Wynn, since it's worth, she's been there before, and she's coming. Okay.
Okay. I have one little item, and I just they'll be getting it out shortly. In the past, what's happened, well, actually in the past, I think Warden White started it, where he actually brought a delegation to the council meetings of the county, and with their department heads, and had 15-20 minutes with us. I'm going to do it a little differently as warden. I want to have a day, and the day will be the 27th of April, and we're going to be down in Aboyne, which is by the museum, and we're going to do it. You'll get some more information, but it'll be about a 10 to 2 type thing with a lunch. And what I'd like to do in the morning would have sort of the county explain what they do and for our tax dollars and whatever. But I'd like to it's open to all the councillors, and I'd like to get a good representation from here, because I'm hoping we get a lot of councillors, lower tier councillors. We've got a lot of new people. It's a great opportunity for them to get an idea. And then in the afternoon, I'd like to do breakout sessions and do some things on different topics, but and mix this all up into mix up all the councils, the lower tier councils, and have an opportunity to kind of get to know everybody and maybe come up with some great ideas, stuff that we do. Other people have ideas, so it's going to be kind of like that, 10 to about 2 or 3, and I'll get more information out to you, but kind of put that down in your books, because I just finalized.
What do you call this?
It's just going to be, well, I haven't got a name for it yet, but this is hot off the press, because I just made the date today with Scott. But I think it'll be great for all of us to find out what the county does with your tax dollars that you send down there, and have an opportunity to talk to department heads and
You said that was the 27th.
27th, so Monday, I believe, and we'll do it in Aboyne. It's got a good spot. Maybe even do a little tour of the museum when we're down there. There's a Palmerston exhibit in there right now. Okay.
Got up my computer.
Really?
One thing you did mention last night that I thought you might want to
Oh.
pass on is the mayor's breakfast.
Yes, thank you. Did you want to say it? Because,
Go ahead.
She doesn't want it.
As the new mayor, should I?
You're tired
As
of
the new
being
mayor, you can maybe take a couple of these spots.
giving up your responsibility.
I'm just trying to remember what the, oh yeah, the dates
I've
are.
got the dates.
The dates are the
Because I'm missing.
7th,
No, the 10th of April
yes,
is
17th.
in Clifford.
Yeah, 17th.
17th is in Harrison.
Yep, and the next one is the
And the
24th
24th is in Palmerston.
in Palmerston in April.
All April?
All April.
Yeah.
And
All Fridays?
they're all Fridays. And we'll hopefully be done by, like, we usually start them and we're done by 9-ish, 9:30. So if you can make it, by all means, it'd be great, and gives you an opportunity. They're well attended, and we'll be doing some economic development and other things, so. All right.
Clifford.
What time are they?
Clifford, Harrison, and Palmerston. I'll have to let you know where they all are, because Linda's just working on it.
Usually
No, we,
7:30.
7:30, and try to be done by 9:30, but if you have to leave at 9 or whatever, you could, like, I mean, if you gotta get to work. So, we try to do it about that. Eat quickly, and then, it's always good. Okay. All right. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Caldwell. The Committee of the Whole convenes in the Committee of Adjustments. All in favor? Okay.
Agenda looks like
Oh, where?
right at the end.
No, bylaws,
I still like a book.
fire variance. There. Oh, here. Okay. I'll chair the public hearing. Officially open the public hearing. Any decision reached by the committee today cannot be used to set a precedent. Each application considered by the committee is dealt with on its own merits, and no two applications are exactly the same. Public hearing is to consider a minor variance application, file number A115, Lester Martin. I will now call on the Secretary Treasurer White to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and purpose of the effect of the application. The date notice were sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The subject property is described as Lot 12, Concession 8, 64358 8th line in Town of Minto. Purpose of the minor variance is to permit construction of a barn and enclosed manure storage facility with an MDS 2 setback of 155.45 meters, 510 feet to the nearest neighbor's dwelling, whereas Section 6.17.2 of the town's zoning bylaw requires a minimum MDS 2 setback of 204 meters, 669.29 feet to the nearest neighbor's dwelling. Notices were mailed to property owners within 200 feet or 60 meters of the lands and circulated to applicable agencies January 21st, posted on the property, and the following comments were received. You have a copy of the clerk's assistant's report recommending 2 standard conditions related to zoning of the property. Sorry. There were no, you have the clerk's assistant's report. I won't read the whole report if that's okay. And then the county planning department report stating the variance requested from section 6.17.2 of the Minto zoning bylaw. They have no concerns. They would, as the application maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property.
Okay. An applicant is here. Did you want to make any kind of presentation, or? Good? We're here for questions if we have any, right? Staff will make comments on the application, answer questions of the Committee of Adjustment. You're good? It's pretty straightforward, eh? Sure. Maybe just give us a little. Right. Right. Any questions for staff on it? No? Okay. You got a question?
No, you're,
Okay.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right. Okay, I guess I'm at the point where, once the resolution is carried, any persons wishing to address the committee, any other? No?
Mayor Bridge, maybe I wasn't getting too far ahead of myself. I have a decision of the, for the committee, it's draft. If the members here are in support of that, I'll pass the decision around. You would only sign it if you're in support of the variance. And there's a draft resolution that's been prepared, if you could read that at this point.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Caldwell. The Committee of Adjustments approves the minor variance application by Lester Martin for property on Lot 12, Concession 8, municipality known as 6435 8th Line, Harrison, Town of Minto, to permit the construction of the barn, I would imagine that means, right? An enclosed manure storage facility with MDS 2 setback of 155.45 meters or 510 feet to the nearest neighbor's dwelling, whereas Section 617-2 of the Corporation of Town of Minto's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw number 0186 is amended and requires a minimum MDS 2 setback of 204 meters or 669.29 feet to the nearest neighbor's dwelling. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Carried. Okay, now we're
Now you
right there.
You read number 10, Mayor Bridge.
Anyone wishing to receive a copy of the notice of decision to please sign the request of notice of decision prior to leaving the council chambers following the meeting. And I now officially close the meeting. You're all set. Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Elliott, that the Committee of Adjustments convenes the regular council meeting. All in favor? Okay. Carried. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Anderson, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Elliott, the bylaw number 2015-6 to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Upper Canada District School Board regarding emergency use of Minto Clifford Public School be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council and seal the seal of corporation. All in favor?
What it says?
Huh?
Is that what it says?
Did I say upper Grand, sorry.
Okay. I'm in favor of that.
Well, you know, I'm thinking of the Upper Canada there. I'm going way back, Judy, eh?
Apparently.
They should call it Upper Canada. Cool. I like it better. Yeah. All in favor?
Just wanted to make sure we were listening.
I know. Good for you. I was just testing everybody. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Dirksen, that bylaw number 2015-07 to appoint Kyle Davis of Wellington County Source Water Protection as Risk Management Inspector and Risk Management Official under the Clean Water Act for the Town of Minto be introduced and read and first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? And you stayed right for that, Kyle, right to the end. And now you
wanted to make sure you didn't
were
drop
afraid
before
you
you
weren't
went
gonna,
home.
were you afraid you weren't going to have a job? Oh, there you go. Okay, well, there you go. Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Elliott, that bylaw number 2015-08 to appoint Terry Kuipers and Stacy Pennington of the Town of Minto as Risk Management Inspectors under the Clean Water Act for the Town of Minto be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed of the corporation. All in favor? Terry, you have a job too. I know. Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Elliott, the bylaw number 2015-09 to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to execute the public facilities limited use agreement with the Harrison and District Horticulture Society be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed in open council, sealed of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. One more. I got another one of those.
You got a few more.
Yeah, I know. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Caldwell, the bylaw number 2015-10 to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to execute the public facilities limited use agreement with Clifford and District Horticulture Society be introduced and read in first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Great. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Dirksen, bylaw number 2015-11 to confirm the proceedings of the February 3rd, 2015 committee and council meeting be introduced and read first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Anderson, the Council of Town of Minto adjourned to meet at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thank you for a good meeting, everybody.